So if it pleases the...
So, Dr. Sheboy, can I turn it over to you for the presentation? Yep. And I'll ask everybody to go on mute, please. And then if there's any questions at the end, we'll take them at the end. And I just want to confirm, is the meeting now available to the community listening in? You're on mute. No problem.
Stefan can confirm that we're broadcasting to the community. I'm going to look in the chat box.
He left you a message in there earlier about.
You can see that one.
Yeah, what we were chatting about.
I'll double check. I'm just going to.
Okay, because I just wanted to let the community know if they had any questions or during the meeting that they could leave and they can email it to us, and we'll be sure to address the questions when Dr. Sheboy is done. But before I do that,
we're live.
Okay, so if there's any community members listening in, please feel free to use the reopening at HFFMCSD.org. Am I correct?
Yes, yep. That's correct.
That's correct, to submit your question, and we'll be sure to check that email at the end of the presentation and answer any questions that might have come in. So thank you very much. We're going to go on mute and hand it over to you, Dr. Sheboy.
Thumbs up. You could tell me if you could see the presentation.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, because I obviously can't see it this way. So. Okay. Okay, so it should be on the first page here. So again, thank you to the board for giving us the opportunity just to provide a board and community update. It is October 15th, as the board had directed previously. I think about 6 weeks ago, we've been doing these every 2 weeks with the board. Prior to that, we were doing them with town halls and then a board presentation. So we've been working feverishly. So as we begin every meeting, we do review our principles. Again, ensure the safety and wellness of our students, faculty, and staff. Deliver high quality instruction to students regardless of delivery model. Be flexible and responsive to changing conditions. And last, to plan for progress, not perfection. We've been using the old green, yellow, red, and the greens are still greens. I'm happy to say that it'd be terrible if they weren't. So I'm not going to go through the greens, but anybody who wants, we will absolutely post this to the website. We have been doing so, so we'll make sure we do that.
Dr. Sheboy, did you want to move the slides as you were sharing them?
Did I want you to?
No. The slides haven't moved.
Oh, well, that's not good.
I just wanted to make you aware of that.
Is that?
Yep. Now we're on guiding principles.
Thank you. See, I was looking off a different screen, I think. Okay. So again, the green is still the green, and we're in pretty good shape as far as all of the greens, and we'll just go through them real quick. And if anybody has a question, please stop me. We had a great meeting today, Denise, myself, and Kathy Coakley, just to review protocols for our food services during our...
He just froze.
Did I freeze? During our remote student transportation, bus scheduling, now that we have completed our second request for individuals who are electing remote only, we have that information over to West Point Tours. We'll get our bus routes and schedules finalized in the next couple of days. Still working with Town of Highlands and Highland Falls Police on any additional traffic concerns. I met with Chief Pieri this morning. Took an opportunity when we were at a community event to do so. So we'll continue to do that. Our app is perfect. Well, I wouldn't say anything's perfect, but it's up and running and configured. We will begin testing our app 2 weeks out. So next week will be the last report where students won't be reporting, or families of students, and I'll go through a little bit more detail on that in a couple minutes. Again, ventilation concerns. We did get the portable filtration systems installed in, or units installed in every classroom and office space, and they're working just well. A food program and hybrid, as I mentioned, Denise, myself, and Kathy Coakley met. We should be in good shape there. Denise, I don't know if you wanted to give any update on that.
Yes, we actually started breaking down of how we are going to feed the students. I reached out to the principals this morning. The students will be eaten in the classrooms in the elementary school. Michael's still working on that. The big issue is basically the high school, because that's where the concentration of students are. Debbie Brand had shared with me that there are 5 feeding locations. And then we broke out serving the students into 3 separate locations. Now, mind you, because of the situation with the COVID, breakfast and lunch are all going to be grab and go in bags. And we also just found out last night actually, that we will be able to serve all students breakfast and lunch right through the full school year, right until June 25th this year. So that was good news. So Debbie Brand, myself, and Kathy Coakley circled back around this afternoon. We're going to see if we can secure a couple of vending machines that we can have water in the machines and I want to say snacks, healthy snacks, because we still have to follow the guidelines. This way, the students can get to the machines and get snacks as needed. I know Debbie's trying to think about maybe locking it down during certain hours of the day and having it open so it doesn't disrupt classroom time. So we do have a good handle. We hopefully will have an answer tomorrow or Monday on the vending machines that will help our situation there, because we want to be cashless.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have the ability to offer snacks right away to the buildings. So as I'll continue to give updates as we keep moving forward.
So Denise, can I ask you a question? So
Yes.
How does that work? Where do we get the funding to pay for our food service?
We still submit our numbers through the child nutrition website on a monthly basis. So we get the money from the state, and the state will get that money back from the federal government.
USDA.
Okay.
Correct.
So there's no more money, technically there's no more, we're not laying out any more money than we normally would.
Correct.
Their costs would be 100% covered.
Right.
Thank you.
Correct.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Again, we have been dealing with just practices and protocols for cleaning, whether it's non-classroom, classroom spaces, deep cleaning. We think we've ironed out those solutions, including the quick turnaround of certain rooms in between one period. Again, most of our rooms, Debbie and Robin in the guidance department did a great job, with the master schedule, getting it down to where there was very few rooms that needed to be turned over, like period 1 to period 2. They did a great job, and then working with Tom on some solutions with his team. We were able to identify something where an individual can clean a room and have it dwelled and dried within 3 minutes. So that means with the people that we have at the high school, we should be able to, as long as we don't have more than 6 or 8 rooms that need to be used twice in a row, meaning literally 2 periods in a row, we can manage that with what we have, and that was a real good find for us. So we're looking forward to that. Cleaning when you've got a full period, that's full sand. It's got about a 10-minute dry time, and that's sufficient dwell time. So anybody can clean 3 to 4 rooms in a 38 to 40-minute period from bell to the beginning of the next period if you had it left blank. So we're in good shape as far as that goes, and we have added those additional cleaners, and they're working just fine. And when we have students in the building, obviously that'll be the real test to any blind spots that we'll have to uncover. But that's the reality for a lot of these things. Until we are fully occupying, a lot of these blind spots we won't be able to see through. So scheduling 2 different programs, hybrid and online. Again, Andrew, you might want to speak to this, but we seem to have this pretty down pat. We addressed it at the last meeting. It'll look a little bit different whether we're talking about secondary versus elementary, but we believe that we can offer 2 programs at the same time. Andrew, you want to add anything to that?
I think we have a slide in there with the new schedules or with some new information, so I can speak to that when I get there.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yep.
The position-specific PPE, we did receive actually the surgical masks. and some tighter weave, if you will, to block out smaller particles. They're not the regular masks, but they're for individuals who are up close and personal with, some of our high needs kids, where a mask and a shield by its own won't do the trick. In addition, anybody who may have special needs, we would make those available. And we do envision October 20th for the delivery of the clear face masks for speech and language, primary, special education, anybody who really needs to see the children, or the children need to see the teacher forming letters or forming words. So that's, we're on schedule for that one. Again, concerns about the ventilation system. The audit was complete. The work is being done. Tom, I don't know if you have any update on that one.
No, I got 5 quotes so far, and we wrote up the POs. We're just waiting to get the POs back, and we'll send them. They'll get started on that.
Okay, groovy.
There'll be more to come.
Okay. Substitute teachers, again, as far as any of our substitutes, those are yellow. I can't fix that. And my guess is that in the event that we need additional people, it will be all hands on deck. I was asked this by somebody in a meeting, Frank, what are you going to do? I said, I'm going to cover a class if I need to. And that's the reality. What are we going to do if we need a custodian? Well, we're going to have one of our grounds persons come in and sub in for a custodian and a day shift if we need it. And we have the ability to do those things. We have sub orientation scheduled for the 20th. So hopefully we'll get a nice group of subs in. We're going to continue to do ongoing recruitment of substitute teachers. But if anybody wants to substitute teach, if anybody wants to come in and do some part-time cleaning work or substitute cleaning work, anybody who is an RN, want to be a substitute nurse, please let us know. We also have a contract nursing service that we have for the board. So again, until we hit the ground, we're not sure what the needs are going to be, but it'll be all hands on deck when we do need them. So. Uncertainty about faculty and staff. Again, I can't make this one green, and it is certainly not red. Every case that we have as far as a known issue, we've dealt with, and we are continuing to do that through the interactive and the iterative process of dialogue if it's somebody who's requesting an accommodation under the Americans with Disability Act or similar legislation. So again, until we know what the body of requests will be, it's hard to say that we have met everything. That's why it's not green, but it is certainly not red because everything that we have right now, we have dealt with. Again, these are now, I would say, the gradient yellow. So they were gradient orange or yellow, and now they are more yellow because, again, we worked on the solutions to cleaning. Again, whether it's those short, dry and dwell time wipes, or it's just making sure that we have the staff. Tom and I have a training with his team. Tom, that's scheduled for Monday afternoon, correct?
That's correct. We have one in the morning for the day shift and one in the afternoon for the night shift.
Yep. So we will be reviewing with them again what the specific protocols and expectations for cleaning during occupancy, as well as post-occupancy end of day. So Tom and I will both be working on that with his team. Last, again, the things we cannot turn any other color but red because we just don't know are, do these protocols, will they actually work? Schools are doing pretty well. I mean, we have had in the county among schools that have opened approximately 100 students, faculty, and staff who have tested positive for COVID-19. None of our schools have shut down long term. There have been a couple short-term ones, and we do anticipate that we won't be immune to that. But just like every other school in our region and any other school in our county, we will take our guidance and our direction from the county Department of Health. We work very closely with them. Almost a day doesn't go by where I don't send a stump the epidemiologist question out to our contact there, and just, it might be, we have a child who's in this particular situation or a faculty member who's in this particular situation. Obviously, we anonymize those things, but they're very helpful. We have open line of communication with them. But again, to think that we are going to be immune to the disruption that other schools around us have seen, I think that'd be a folly to do. And then can everything that we're doing keep everybody safe? We are doing our absolute best. We are following every rule. I will tell you, I still continue to hear, and I think without giving names, Denise could attest that there are schools that are still using desk coverings and then not cleaning desks in between each period. The guidance is very specific. The guidance is very clear. We are following every rule in the books. Denise, you want to comment on that at all?
Yes, the business official group, we meet monthly. We have questions we throw it out to each other. And this was the question do I dare say it, the district, I mean, Middletown Central School, they asked the question, the question was, what are people doing about desk coverings? They wanted to know. And there were a couple districts that said they were using them and that they were laminating them and they're disinfecting them. And I said it to Frank. He goes, it's still not allowed.
That's not approved. Yeah. So we're following the rules, and our goal will be to keep everybody safe.
So Frank, I'd like to make a comment on that, if I may, for the community. And this is a perfect time since we're talking about it. Anyone who's out there listening, please understand that we cannot answer you because we do not know why other districts aren't following or appear to not be following all the protocols and all the guidance that's come out from New York State Education Department, as well as the State Department of Health. And don't forget, we also have to follow our local Orange County Department of Health. That all being said, our district, our school board, our administrators, we are doing everything we can, working with our attorneys and working with guidance from the New York State Health Department, our local health department, and the New York State Education Department to ensure that things that we're putting in place are the requirements and meet their requirements. It's not that I don't care what other districts are doing. Of course, I'd like to hear how they're managing and things like that. I think we all would, but we're not going to not follow the rules here. And I'm sorry if parents or community members are upset over that. I truly am, but there's not one member on this board, and they'll all agree to it now because we've had this conversation on a number of occasions, that is going to do anything that isn't on the up and up, that doesn't follow all guidelines and rules and directions that we're getting from our legal attorneys, from as well as the state and the Department of Health. So I hope and pray that you can all respect that and understand that pertains to bringing our students back to school. That pertains to when the students get back into school. If something happens that, gosh forbid, somebody does test positive, the protocols that will follow at that point, as well as our athletics. So I know there's been a lot of talk about Section 1 and Section this and Section that, and quite frankly, we're not involved in that. We're involved in the direction from Section 9 and what we are doing to keep our students and our student athletes safe, and we're making everything available when we can. So I just hope everybody understands and respects those decisions and understand that this is what we're doing and why. So I don't know if any other board member wants to agree or disagree or add a comment on that, but that's where we stand with that. And I think it's really important for the community to understand that and work with us on that. Anybody disagree with what I'm saying?
No disagreement. Total agreement.
Okay. Total 100%. Agreement.
100%.
Thank you, everybody. Okay.
And I would say that we have cut no corners. We have not tried to shirk our responsibility. We have not tried to figure out ways to not do something. We have figured out ways to do it right, and that's where we are. We are in real good shape. So, and the last thing that's in red that I can't turn to any other color is just the uncertainty of funding. And I don't want people to. I've heard on the street that people think that we've made decisions because of funding. We've not made decisions because of funding. We have not we did not cut pre-K because of funding. We did not appoint coaches because of funding. But that doesn't mean we're not concerned about funding. And I just want to make sure we stress that funding is a concern, and we're going to wait until our elected official, Ms. Wallace, Denise, and myself, we're on the phone with elected officials, and they keep saying to us, after November we'll know a little bit more. I don't know how, but we're going to wait and I guess wait and see what happens in November, and then we'll continue our advocacy. We have not stopped our advocacy with our local as well as our federal officials, so we'll continue to do that. Okay, Dr. Theodore, you want to go through a little bit here on this?
So we sent our student opt-out of in-person instruction survey. We had extended that deadline to October 9th, and the survey is now closed. Parents can still contact the schools if they have concerns, if they have questions, or if they've changed their minds. They can reach out to the main office of the schools and have that conversation. The survey is closed at this point. And we are going to start planning for transportation, and we'll be sharing a survey for parents to indicate their transportation preference, if they're going to drive their children to school, if the children will be taking the school bus. So if children are eligible for transportation, parents will be asked to, share how they plan to get the children to school. Again, we're in a full virtual learning schedule, September 14th through November 6th. Wednesday continues to be our asynchronous day or check-in day. We're doing social and emotional learning and check-ins with all of the students on those on Wednesdays. Instruction is Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. And starting on November 9th, we will start the hybrid learning schedule. Again, our students are assigned to a cohort, maroon or gold. And our students in the maroon cohort will be in school on Monday and Tuesday, and virtual or remote on Thursdays and Fridays. Gold will be remote Monday and Tuesday, and in the buildings on Thursday and Friday. Wednesday will continue to be an asynchronous day. And in addition to the cohorts, the maroon and gold cohort, we do have a virtual learning schedule for families that have opted their children out of in-person instruction. The students in grades 6 through 12, there is no change to those students' schedules. And for students in kindergarten through 5th grade, there will be some changes to the schedules, which will be communicated by the schools.
So, Dr. Theodore, you said that there's more on individual schedules. I don't want to go on if.
No, the principals will be sending that information out to the families.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yep, you're welcome.
Yep. So again, I just wanted to go through some of the slides on the classroom and school environment. Again, small class sizes is the reason for the hybrid model. Face coverings will be required for anybody in our buildings at any time. When impossible, we will minimize student movement in our grades K through 8, largely anchor spaces. High school, obviously not using classrooms more than once in a row, except for specific science labs, different types of classrooms where we absolutely have to. Encouraging hand hygiene, emphasizing personal hygiene, remembering that grades count regardless of what mode we are in, and that attendance counts regardless of our instructional model. And again, just something I said a couple weeks ago, we need to all pull in the same direction to keep everyone safe and focused on learning. Again, we talked a little bit over the past month or so regarding athletics, and I'm not going to go through this timeline in a lot of detail other than to remind everybody, as Ms. Lawless said, we are under the direction of the New York State Public High School Athletic Association, as well as Section 9. And the Section 9 Athletic Council did vote to begin winter sports on 30 November, and then fall sports starting around March of 2021, and spring sports around May of 2021. That's flexible, and obviously it's determined by conditions that are happening. So we've still, and I'll get to the next couple slides, there was concern as to how decisions were made. We did explain that previously, and some of those concerns were about transportation, participation, facilities, and guidance that, I'll be honest with you, still doesn't make sense to me, how physical education requirements are still requiring 12-foot social distancing for PE, but you can go to 6 foot for athletics. I don't fully understand that, but I'm not in the athletic world at the state level, so I can't speak to those things. And then concern over equal access to programs. That was another concern that we've addressed previously. Again, the consideration are safety, equity and access, and maximum participation. And we also shared that those three should be the focus. And then just some of the specific considerations that we had talked about. and I bolded a couple things. So we had been waiting and have been waiting for the New York State Public High School Athletic Association guidelines. They came through finally. After that, the New York State Department of Health indicated that we would get specific guidance from them. We have not today. To date, we still have not received that. So we've continued to work on our return to play plan. I just asked Ms. Crow, I said, Ms. Crow, let's finalize our plans and we'll send them up to Orange County, get them to take a look at it, make sure that they're up to snuff, and then we'll go from there. And we will be recommending coaching appointments, meaning I will be recommending coaching appointments for winter athletics at the November 5th board meeting. So that's really an update on the athletics. Not a whole lot of update other than we still haven't gotten what we were waiting for from the Department of Health, and we will be recommending coaches for our winter sports. As far as just some of our health and safety preparations, again, this is nothing new. Entry criteria, temperature scanning, survey questions. Every staff member and student, anybody who enters our building is going to get their temperature taken. If individuals have concerns about having their temperature taken or don't want to, they're concerned about privacy, we still have a remote option for students, and they should reach out to Dr. Tejador. But we do also ask families to make sure they're monitoring students' symptoms. If people are ill, please have them stay home. Have them stay home. This is not a normal year. This is a COVID year. And again, we'll get into the required questionnaire. We will be minimizing visitors during the day. We're going to do most of our meetings, whether it's with parents or even we had cabinet meetings a couple times this week. They're still remote. Most of our meetings are still remote. Offices and classrooms have either a sanitizing station or a sink with soap, and all offices and classrooms will have a contact tracing log outside of the office or inside the classroom for anybody who's coming in. Student attendance will count as that contact tracing log, but if another teacher comes into work in that room, or if a student leaves to go to the washroom or go to the nurse or go to the guidance or do what have you, they will sign out and sign back in, and those contact logs will be collected daily. Social distance signs and graphics are up in many of our buildings already, our bathrooms, common areas, washrooms, by sinks, and we've got tons of signs, and we've got more on the way. So we want to make sure that no one could say, well, I didn't know I had to wear a mask. I don't know where you've been the last 7 months if you didn't know you had to wear a mask. So this is what the COVID screening reminder, every school day, our faculty and staff receive an email. It's actually multiple emails. If you're up at 2 o'clock in the morning, you will only receive one. However, if you sleep past 2 o'clock in the morning, we send out reminder emails, 3 reminders for faculty and staff. To date, nobody's complained, so I'm trusting that people aren't getting pings on their emails. Beginning on Tuesdays and Thursdays, beginning 2 weeks before our return to hybrid, families will start to receive emails with links to their children's COVID screening. If you have more than one child, you will have to complete a COVID screening for each of your children. It is important that families begin to complete this when they start to come out. I say next week, but when they start to come out, because what I don't want to find out is on November 11th, that Frankie Sheboy's family, they had a dead email link, so they weren't getting the emails. We want to work out those bugs in the 2 weeks prior to our children returning. I did bold something here, and I just want to be very clear. Nobody can enter our facilities if they do not complete a COVID screening as directed, period. Nobody can enter our facilities if a COVID screening has not been completed.
A student can't commit. So if a student's parents, if I didn't do Carly's COVID screening today, and Carly took the bus to school, you're going to stop Carly from coming into the building?
We would stop Carly from coming into the building, and we would ask Carly to either ask Carly to or ask her parents to. They will get multiple emails, Ms. Wallace, reminding them on every day that theirs is due. They will get multiple emails. And in addition, anybody can add their personal link to their own website. I'll show the board how to do this when we get closer to being in person, but it's really easy to do. So no, and we'll have a small stack of them for visitors and things such as that. But we have to keep track of who's in our facilities and that they are not suffering or exhibiting symptoms of COVID.
So will this be available in different languages?
Yes,
And what happens if a parent doesn't have an email, or do we know that every parent in the district does have an email?
well, we have emails, and I'll refer that one to Dr. Theodore. We have emails listed for, I would say every, but I don't know if that's the honest answer, Dr. Theodore, so I'll let you answer that one. But we absolutely will have this available in Spanish as well. It's currently in English, but we can easily just adjust any of the questions to Spanish as well. It's literally just, it's a 10-minute update to the form.
No, I'm not trying to give, I just want to
No,
make
no,
sure that we all understand, and hopefully I'm thinking of questions that the community might
Yeah.
ask.
Yep.
So again, just to confirm, this has to be filled out if you're in Maroon on Monday and Tuesday, if you're in whatever it is, the days that you're coming into the school,
Yep.
that form has to be filled out every day.
Yes, well, so it's one, so if you are in the Maroon cohort, it
Right.
would be, it's either it's going to be Tuesdays and Thursdays. It's not that they have to do it
Oh,
Tuesday,
okay.
Wednesday, Thursday. Yeah.
Okay, got it.
So it says periodic, and I know
Okay.
what happens when something is due every day, that there
Yeah.
does become this email overload, if you will, and
Yeah,
people forget to do
definitely.
it because of that. It becomes noise in their inbox, and I
Yeah.
want to avoid
Okay.
that, which is probably
Okay.
why the statute required periodic as opposed to daily. For faculty and
Okay.
staff, it is daily. As
Okay.
everyone on this call can attest, they do get multiple
Right.
emails.
I get it every day. So
Yeah.
if I was coming in for meetings on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday this week, as an adult, I'm expected to fill it out on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday.
Correct. And our faculty, whether they're
Got it.
working in the building or they're not working in the building, if they're working, they're doing it every day, even if they're remote.
Got it.
Yep.
Okay. Okay,
Yep.
thank you. I'm sure there'll
Absolutely.
be questions on that, so I'm just trying to,
Yeah, and once my guess is we'll start to get more questions once they go out, and that's why I
Okay.
wanted to get it out a couple weeks early.
all right, thank you.
And then multiple incidents of failure to complete may, it didn't say will, but may result in students being transferred to a remote only option. If we don't have evidence that individuals are asymptomatic or not exhibiting symptoms, I don't want to say they're asymptomatic, that's a different concept, but that all the answers to the questions are no, then we have to restrict people. If you do not complete the form, we cannot let you in. If it becomes problematic or if people refuse to do the form, we will have to shift them to a remote only option. So, I mean, it's not something we want to do. It's something that we have to do, but it's not a cumbersome form. As you can see here, this is the form. This is actually my form. So when you get yours, it's electronic. You don't have to print it out. Trust me. It comes up. This, because I'm a staff member or I'm a student, it says my name. So it says Francis Sheboy. It's got the date. This was actually the other day's form. It's easier for me to do it this way. I clicked no on the first question, which is about symptoms. I clicked no that I hadn't tested positive for a diagnostic test. I clicked no that I've not been knowingly been in close or proximate contact with somebody. And I clicked no on the travel advisory. And if you click on this, it goes right to the website for New York State, so you have the up-to-date list. So when in doubt, just click on the list. You can also read about it. They come out every Tuesday with the updated ones. I think Virginia went back on, Rhode Island went back on, and Michigan went on for the first time this week. So we're up to 38 states and territories in the United States. And then when you click on that I certify button, it's either, if you have any yeses, it's not going to be a thumbs up, smiley face, green like this one is. It's going to be a sad face, red, thumbs down, and it will say that you cannot enter the building. Occasionally, and if somebody has this issue, they submit the form and they click something in error. They just have to reach out to their building so that we can verify that it's an error, because otherwise we will not allow them to attend. So if you get the frowny face red and you accidentally click submit before you went back and said, oh, I really didn't travel out of the country or what have you, just call the building and we can get that changed. We have the ability to go in the system and fix that if it's an error. If your child does have 100-degree fever and then you give them Tylenol and say, well, they don't really have 100, no, they really do, and please keep them home. And that's really important. So again, as we have been stressing for the past 4 months as we've been doing this, the expectation is that families will assess their students, their health and wellness, prior to sending them to the bus or to school. Prior to. They should take their children's temperature every day. I take my temperature every day. It's not something I did prior, but neither was wearing a mask and making sure I had a backup mask in my office or in my car every day, but it's something I do now every day. Families also need to assess their children for other COVID symptoms every day. Students and faculty and staff who exhibit COVID symptoms or who are sent home. Now, this is really important because the state sent out a little bit different guidance, but when it's more restrictive, we follow Orange County's. And Orange County's guidance says, if somebody exhibits symptoms of COVID or is sent home with symptoms of COVID, they must have written clearance from a medical doctor to physically return to school. A negative COVID test will not suffice unless it's accompanied by written clearance, period. And we will get that out. We'll be messaging that. The nurses will be sending that out. But it's important for everybody to remember that. We've got faculty in this type of situation as well. So we're holding everybody to the same expectation. And as I've stressed again, over the past 4 months now, we must have updated emergency numbers for all of our students. We must have the ability to get children picked up from school within 30 minutes of a call. So I'm hoping that families have updated their emergency lists and that we can get little Frankie picked up in 30 minutes or less. So again, just some other things we've been talking about: social distancing, hygiene. We have masks for students. We gave them reusable masks for faculty and staff. We have disposable ones for students who come without or whose mask becomes soiled. We have shields for staff if they request them, face shields. Our cleaning protocol is enhanced and was dictated a lot by BOCES, and we are sanitizing our facilities day and night. And again, we have specific protocols for if somebody is sick. The nurses fully understand it. We actually worked with them on them, and we posted a letter from the nurses to our school website. And if anybody hasn't found that, please feel free to go there. The nurse will determine whether an individual is going home or going to the isolation area, or going to regular sick area, or going home. So it's just important to know that we're taking this very serious. And again, please don't come to school if somebody is ill. We want you to stay home and be well.
So can I ask a question about that?
Of course.
Again, these questions, I'm trying to think ahead of what people might have. So, and my kids are going to kill me, but so if Carly is sick or has symptoms in school, so she gets sent to the nurse who sends her to the isolation room, and you call me, okay? Are you going to have me pick up Christy at the intermediate school as well?
Probably.
Okay.
Yep.
I just want to put that out there to parents, because we're going to take all precautions necessary until we find out what's wrong with child A.
Yep. And I would hope that you would have said, can I pick up Christy and Carly both at the same time?
Yeah. Got it.
Yep.
Got it.
Because,
I have a question too.
Sure.
Just in terms of, if a child presents as having some symptoms during the school day, I'm just curious what exactly will qualify for that. Just knowing the office that I work in, when someone sneezes, everyone has a heart attack.
Yeah.
And it is also allergy season. So, and there are other things that cause people to sneeze or cough or what have you. So what will constitute someone needing to be picked up?
So remember, we do have registered nurses in our buildings. According to the county Department of Health, they have the ability to discern, if you will, their professional opinion as to whether something is just allergy related, just a tummy ache, right? Because if you're nauseous, maybe you ate something bad or maybe you have COVID. And they know our kids pretty well. That's the beauty of the nurses that we have. They're very experienced. They know, they love our kids. So the sniffles that Frank Sheboy has, and you can hear me today, and Anna's actually asked me a couple of times, Frank, are you feeling okay? I hear it in your voice, or what have you. And that's just because I talk too much. But our nurses will be able to use their professional judgment on whether or not they feel. And remember, your biggest telltale signs is unless you're asymptomatic, and if you're asymptomatic, you're not a nurse anyway, is being febrile. And febrile accompanied with most of it or any of these other things is going to get you a trip home. If I'm not the nurse, but I'm going to guess that that's how they would operate. But our nurses have the ability to assess our students, and they make the decision as to whether or not they feel, this is just a tummy ache, or this is just the sniffles, or what have you, or let's send you to the isolation room and get your parents here. So, yeah, we have that latitude.
Can I ask one other question?
Of course.
Just sort of from a few slides back, when you were saying about the form that
Yeah.
everyone needs to fill out.
Yeah.
If I heard you correctly, you said that staff, whether they are coming in or working remotely, need to fill that out every single
Correct.
day.
Yes.
And you were talking about the cohorts of students. If students are fully remotely learning, do they need to fill it out as well, just like staff do?
They would not need to. However, if there was a student whose family and they elected to be virtual by choice, and they were participating in in athletics because you're allowed to, that is a bona fide program, then we would insist that they complete it for the days that they're in the building.
Thank you.
Yep. Again, just some cleanliness. Students are responsible for keeping themselves and their desks clean. Please, students who, like, I'm a pencil person, and those of us who are on the call for the admin team, they know that I like pencils and paper, and I leave erasure marks everywhere. So we're asking that everybody takes personal responsibility for their own space. Our teachers will continue to work with children on good hygiene. We'll continue to help and supervise our children. We have additional cleaning staff, and we have additional cleaning supplies, and more is on order. So we're in pretty good shape then. As far as transportation, nothing new here. Masks are required. We have cut our capacity of our buses down, 1 student per seat. Social distancing. The nice thing is that they have high backs, so that creates a barrier. Parents, again, please do not send your child to the bus if they are ill. We will continually work with West Point Tours to make sure that their transportation cleaning and safety protocols meet our requirements as well as the state. Families should encourage their children to socially distance at bus stops. I drive through a neighboring district on my way to work every day, and sometimes I see a bus stop where there's great social distancing by children, and sometimes I see a bus stop where there is virtually none and students aren't wearing masks. Families need to reinforce those things for their children, and we need to reinforce it with our bus drivers as well. So again, we are partnering with West Point Tours on that. And again, we encourage families, if they want to, drive, and we're working with the Town of Highlands Police and Highland Falls Police Department on traffic flow concerns. We do have those concerns. We don't want to see Mountain Avenue backed up in both directions, but it is something that we need to be mindful of. We don't want to see that much extra traffic on Route 9W, but it's something that we're very mindful of, and we'll continue to converse with the Town of Highlands and the Highland Falls Police Department. Food services, Denise already spoke to most of this. Again, it's cashless, it's grab and go. We have designated eating areas, disposable trays and flatware. So again, there's nothing new here. For food distribution for all students, if we're closed for the entire school year, which was a great thing for us to hear, would be at the HFIS. So. And then just the next step in questions. Again, the board, just a reminder, has asked for us for a bi-weekly update. Our next board meeting will be on the 5th of November, so we will provide our final update. I promise you not everything will be green, but we'll be ready. We expect to be ready from our perspective to return to our hybrid instructional model, and we'll continue to meet and plan and work. I can't say enough about the team that we're working with, the faculty, the administration, the staff. Everybody is rowing the boat in the same direction to the same cadence, and that's why we've made such progress as we have in the past 8-10 weeks. So any questions from the board?
I do have one other sort of question. This has been coming up for me quite a bit in the last few weeks in a professional capacity, and that is the issue of immunizations, even for students who are learning remotely.
Yeah.
And I just wonder if that's been communicated clearly to the parents within the district, that if their child is not properly immunized, that they don't have access even to remote education.
Yeah, and I would say that we have our nurses worked very hard starting, during the summer even, to remind families of upcoming dates for immunization. And while there was a slight reprieve of about 2 weeks for when things have to be done. That deadline is approaching very fast, and individuals who are not in the queue, it's funny because that reprieve came after our initial exclusion date. That's pretty typical for what we've been dealing with since March, is that we have deadlines, we meet our deadlines, and then they change the deadline. But that's a personal issue that I'll get over. But we've been very good about communicating. The principals have been very good about reaching out. We have letters that we send out. The nurses call. We've been on top of it. Our numbers of non-immunized are very small.
Good. Thank you.
Yep. Any other final questions? Okay, then I'm going to stop sharing and I'll return to the meeting.
And Frank, I have 2 questions, but they're totally unrelated. The first one is, I don't know if it's appropriate for you to share, but could you just give the board an idea of what percentage of our students have chose to go full virtual until January? Is it a close to approximation of the last group that decided it as well?
Yeah, it's pretty close, Andrea. It's about 208. Yeah,
wow.
So, yeah,
Okay.
and we were about 230 unduplicated last time, I think. So we're right in that same ballpark.
We're right there. Okay.
And what happened last time is we had a number, and then that after the deadline closed, as people realized, oh, I missed it, they reached out and said, oh, can I still do? And we envisioned that might still happen, or that people, when we get closer, I spoke to somebody one time in another district, and they said, look, I'm making a game day decision. I'm saying I'm going hybrid, but if I don't think it's safe for my child, I'm going remote, and that's fun. We respect
and
that.
It's hard for us to say no, even if it is. And then can you explain to the community and to the board, I understand there's a percentage involved and I understand all that, but if you could just touch 5 minutes, 2 minutes on, because I get the notices every day that says so-and-so school closed for 3 days because the student tested positive, deep cleaning, this and that. How will that work at our school and at our district? And what is the determining factor? That's the part that I think a lot of us I'm not familiar with. I'm not speaking for everybody, but I'm not. Like Monroe today closed. It sounds from the email that I got that it was only 1 student and they closed for 3 days to deep clean.
Yep.
Can you explain that to us? How that?
I probably can, or I'll do my best, because again, they're working just like we would under the guidance of the Department of Health. So there's 2 different types of cleaning. One is for that little incidental, of closure. One is that little incidental thing, 1 child or 1 faculty member. So they need to close down a space. If it is late, let's say that at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, we discovered that there was somebody that had been in our room today. Well, that room has to sit empty for 24 hours. So that means we could not actually clean that room. So we would be closed of that room until Monday, presuming we could get people in to clean it over the weekend, right? So that's where some of these things, my wife works in a district that was closed for 1 day and then was closed for 2 days. And it happened to be the time of the day, I'm guessing, when they discovered that they had an issue, because if that 24-hour period carries you where you couldn't open the following day, well, then you're closing for 2 days. So that's part of it. But we do also deal with, the regional, and we haven't heard if the governor has changed what the requirements are for regions versus his new zone program. But typically the numbers and the percents are 9% and 5%. If there's a 9% rate of contagion in a region, the governor said he was going to close down until that number got below 5. But I don't know, and I don't think anybody can answer this question today, but those are the magic numbers, 9%, and then it's got to dip below 5% to reopen. But given his new zone conversations, I don't know if he's just changed lanes or going off the rails. I don't know what the right term for the governor would be on that.
But to be honest with you, that makes a lot of sense, because almost, and I say it because I'm not 100% sure, but almost every email that we've received and that I've received says from recommendation of the Department of Health.
Yeah.
We've worked with the Department of Health and they recommend that we have closed upon the recommendation of the Board of Health for 2 days, 1 day, 3 days. So,
Yep.
okay, so we too will take our direction from our local Board of Health
Absolutely.
Department of Health, once we report.
Yeah, absolutely,
A
without a
lot
doubt.
of times they'll know before us.
Yeah, and just full disclosure, we do submit to the state every day, a report that contains the number of positive tests daily for students, faculty, and staff. And we actually get those data from our county Department of Health. We don't test here, and we actually have no authorization to test here, despite what the governor tells the press. We get those information, those data from the county Department of Health, and we report it to the state. And there is a statewide report card for schools, and anybody can go and just Google a COVID school report card, type in any school district, and you can see the number of cases for individuals between the ages of 5 and 17, as well as faculty and staff. And I will say that still, as of today, which is the 15th of October, the Highland Falls Fort Montgomery Central School District this school year has had 0 faculty, staff, or children who are enrolled in our schools with a test of positive. So pretty happy about that, although again, there's probably a little bit more luck in that than anything else. So.
As promised at the last board meeting, but first I'd like to know if any board members have any questions from Dr. Sheboy's presentation before I read the questions that we just received online at the email.
I'm good.
Nope. Okay, thank you. So as I explained at the last meeting, to respect the people that have submitted the questions going forward from the last meeting, any questions that came in, I will read who the emails are from. I'm sorry, who the questions are from. I'm going to read the question. If I can answer it, I will. If I cannot, I will look to the appropriate person on the admin team to read it. Okay, I'm sorry, to answer it. So the questions have been submitted by Carly Lemler, who is the PTSC president at the high school, and also for our high school PTSC, and also a parent of children at the high school. And here are the questions that she has been getting. For the James I. O'Neill High School, can you please confirm that seniors will be able to drive to school on November 9th if there is modified school, so that they do not have to take the bus if we prefer? There's another question that I'm going to read that pertains to that. Similarly, are there more parking spots so that my child, who is a junior, can drive to school? I would prefer that he drive. Though both of those questions are still to be determined by the administration at the high school. The parking spots are in the process of getting striped right now. Once they're striped, you as the parent and all, I'm assuming junior and senior, but again, it'll be up to the administration, will reach out and let you know the rules and regs as it pertains to parking. Next question. Why didn't the Board of Education, appoint the coaches yet? As Dr. Sheboy said, and as I know was discussed at a recent PTSC meeting, the coaches have not yet been appointed because we don't know what sports right now that we're going to be able to go forward with. Our plan right now is to appoint the coaches, like Dr. Sheboy said, at the November 5th meeting for the winter sports. When will the Board of Education vote on the coaches? Again, the winter sports coaches will be voted on November 9th, and our plan, our sports plan as it pertains to health protocols, will be sent to the Board of Health for approval.
Yeah, Ann, I'm sorry, that's November 5th.
Please.
Yeah, November 5th.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Frank. When will you appoint?
November 5th. I think you had said November 9th. I'm sorry.
Sorry, November 5th, we will appoint the coaches. Nextly, when will the cohort assignments come out? As Dr. Theodore explained, they're still being finalized, but they'll come out shortly for each of the schools. The next question, when will new students and freshmen be able to tour the campus? Currently, those tours are being set up to begin at some point, most likely later next week or earlier the following week. And again, the freshmen and the new students will be notified once those tours are set up and to which one they've been assigned. The next question, can you please explain why a homecoming dance is not allowed when hybrid starts, even if split up by cohorts? That's a question that will need to be discussed and determined with administration at the high school. Once a determination is made, how things go, after we open on November 9th. So that's something that you can discuss directly with the high school principal and assistant principal when the time is appropriate. The next question, Dr. Sheboy, I'll have the next and final question, I'll have to look to you for an answer. Is the flu shot required for students to return to school?
It is not currently required by New York State. It is recommended by physicians, and I would defer to any individual's healthcare provider for specific questions on whether or not they should get the flu shot. From what I've heard, most physicians are recommending the flu shot this year just to minimize flu-type symptoms that could potentially be confused with symptoms consistent with COVID-19. I plan on getting it.
So thank you very much. Have any other additional questions come in? None? Okay, thank you. And also, I'd just like to reiterate, these questions all came in, all 7 questions came in from Ms. Carly Lemler. Okay, I believe it's my understanding that a lot of people are going to Carly as the PTSC president with questions, and she is rolling them up and submitting them on their behalf. Please feel free as a community to ask questions on your own. We're more than happy to answer you to the best that we can. If we have the answers, we'll certainly answer them. And if we don't, or we feel your question, needs to have a specific or a private conversation about it, it's a lot easier for Dr. Sheboy or the administrators to reach out if they know who actually asked the question. So I'll leave it at that, and we can move on as long as anyone else doesn't have any questions on the presentation. Okay, so thank you very much. It was a very thorough presentation, and I think we learned a lot, and we're really excited about November 9th. So thank you. And then, are there any Board of Education comments? I have a few things I just want to make the board aware of. I'll go first, and then I'll leave it open to you guys. First off, we have, as Dr. Sheboy mentioned, we've had a couple of meetings with our elected officials. Some went better than others. Some are very frustrating. I will admit, I got extremely frustrated on a recent call with one of our elected officials. I really am tired of hearing that there's nothing we can do right now. Either wait till after the election or we're trying. I still am having a very hard time wrapping around my head that, this whole thing with the money that we've gotten out of the CARES Act scares the heck out of me, to be honest. If there is any additional CARES Act money, I really hope they're getting the message from us that they cannot give it out based on anything but per student capita. So I'm just praying that they're hearing us loud and clear. We will continue to meet on an ongoing basis with those same elected officials over and over again, whether they're going to be in office again in January or not. We will continue to meet with them right up until January 1st. Secondly, we met again about what a board meeting would look like in person. And I think it's really important to share with you what we've come up with so far. Right now, we have approval to have our meetings remote until November, Marissa, 3rd? Is it 3rd?
Yeah,
I think it's November 3rd.
Is when he will make his,
next decision. Now,
right.
If we look at the numbers, I think there's a very good chance that he's going to extend it again on November 3rd because the numbers aren't getting better. They're getting worse all around us. So I get it. And to be honest, we're all safer like this. We still get work done. But let me explain what we have come up with, and I didn't come up with much of it. I just asked for a few things that they're able to give us. It was Dr. Sheboy, Andrea, Stefan, and the team came up with this. There are seats and a way to sit, the school board, the administration, and Mrs. Pitt, and our principals and assistant principals in the, and you guys correct me if I say wrong, if I go wrong here, in the library at the high school. Now, Stefan will still be able to video, which is a requirement of the meetings. They will be streamed live. Again, though, please understand that being the setup of the room, we're going to look very small on the camera, but he'd be willing and able to zoom in on a board member when they're talking, if need be. We will be sitting far apart in the room. All of us will be. So that being said, how do we allow outside visitors? How do we allow the community? Well, they're not going to be able to fit safely and distantly in the actual library. But what we can do is in one of the classrooms directly across from the library or in the very near vicinity, they will be streaming the meeting on the video camera on the screen there that the teachers are going to be using every day to be able to interact with their students that are at home, that are learning remotely. Our meeting will go on that screen for them, if I have it right. Am I right so far? Yes. We'll make sure that they sit safe distance in that room or a number of rooms, depending on how many visitors we have. And when they're ready to talk, they'll be able to, or have any questions after presentations, they'll be able to enter the library, stand in front of the mic, who again will be socially distanced from all of us with a mask on, and answer the questions, and ask the questions or make the comments that they choose to directly to the board. Being that it's going to be different, I just want to remind everybody too on the board that when we do have visitors and guests that come to ask questions and come to make comments to us, it is our job to accept those questions and those comments and make sure that they're appropriately answered by the correct administrator or ourselves after the meeting. We don't normally respond and have a dialogue. Now, again, if it's an easy question, we can answer it, go have at it. But if it's something that we need time to look into, we'll need to make sure more than ever now, not that we don't always do it, but we're really going to have to keep a log of all the questions and make sure that we get back to the people in a timely manner with some sort of response. Hopefully it's the answer that they're looking for, but that'll be our job, and we'll have to work as a team, a close team, to make sure that that happens. We're going to try this. I think it's going to be a little, it's going to take a little getting used to up front. And that's the best we can do. There's nowhere else that we're going to be able to fit everybody. They measured, they looked, they measured, they walked around. That's the best we can do right now, and remain and fulfill all those requirements that are given to us by the state and the Department of Health. So I don't know if Dr. Sheboy, Andrea, anyone wants to add anything to that?
No, and you covered it very well. I mean,
Okay.
Our goal will be to encourage public participation in the meetings and also keep everybody safe.
Yes.
And I
Any
just want
questions?
I just want to clarify that the modified board meetings will begin when the governor has
Yes.
allowed it. Yes, we don't have a specific date as of right now.
Thank you for clarifying that. So it doesn't mean that the next board meeting for that to be, okay? It's not a given. So as long as we can have meetings remotely and safely, there's a reason why we're having them remotely, and we will continue to do so. But once we are required to go live, that is what we will do. Marissa, can you just give me the number again of the number of people that,
27.
thank you. So
You're
there's
welcome.
27 people. That includes she read my mind, our administration, the school board, required people that come to the meetings. I just wanted to let everybody know in public as well as on the board that I have heard from our OXPA representative, and he has been tuning into all our meetings. So thank you very much. And once we're able to go live again, hopefully we included him as one of the seats. So, because that's a given. You know, he's here to support us and listen to what we're doing. So those are the kind of people that we don't really have a choice. Now, Mrs. Pitt, I hope you're going to love joining us, but if you feel more comfortable watching from home, that's perfectly fine as well. But we want you to know that we, you know, especially if a student is there and you want to take a picture, but one of us can do that for you as well. So you decide and you let us know when it gets closer.
I'm
Okay.
sure if I can ask, I had asked this the last time too. If there's a board member, when we go to this process, if there's a board member who's unable to attend in person for whatever reason, whether they're quarantined or anything along those lines, is there a way for a board member to join remotely with this setup?
The simple answer is yes.
Yeah.
I'll send something out to the board. I will admit that in the midst of everything else, that did slip my mind to ask Margot. But the simple answer is yes. It's just a protocol we have to follow for it.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. And also, I was remiss in saying, and Dr. Sheboy just corrected me, that Mike Randall, of course, we know we have to make sure there's a seat available if at any time he wanted to attend
He
one
is
of our
counted.
meetings.
He was included in my count.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, so does anyone have any questions on that and how it was determined? A lot of work and time went into it, but even more work and time still has to go in to make it work, but we're going to be ready when we have to be. Okay. Okay. Are there any other board comments? I haven't shut up, so, okay. The next thing is Dr. Sheboy.
Yeah, I usually reserve my comments for the first public meeting, so I'll defer to the November 5th meeting with any real report for the board if that pleases the board.
Yes, and same for Denise and, I'm sorry, Ms. Sidera, or do you have anything for us or do you prefer to wait?
I prefer to wait also. Thank you.
Thank you. And Dr. Theodore?
No, I think I'll wait until November 5th as well.
Okay, excellent. Okay, then I'll turn it over to Denise.
Okay. Use of the consent agenda permits the Board of Education to make more effective use of its time by adopting a single motion to cover those relatively routine matters which are included. Any member of the board who wishes to discuss individually a particular piece of business on the consent agenda may so indicate, and that item will be considered and voted on separately, thus reserving the right of all board members to be heard on any issue. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the following consent agenda as submitted by the Superintendent of Schools, number 2 to 8.
Motion.
Second. And you're muted.
Thank you. Are there any questions on numbers 2 through 8?
Nope. I have a question.
Okay, guys, go ahead.
Denise, the change order for number 5, what is that?
Hold on.
Please, can I?
You're go ahead. I'm just trying to get flip
Yeah,
pages.
so actually, Gus, it's 5 parts. In the packet you should have received. So one was refinishing the bridges, so that painting the bridges, obviously they'll have asphalt, that was part of base bid, but to paint them. The other part was the concrete bases, that 4-inch concrete slab, that was not in the base bid for ML, but the lockers had to sit on a 4-inch concrete slab there. One was to modify the lights in the soffits. They were about let's say about 3/4 of an inch too long. They had to shave off a flange, like a fitting kind of thing off of those for all of the soffit lights in the science rooms. One was to paint the floor in the wing of the backstage of the auditorium. The floor looked ratty against that brand new floor, so we wanted it to look nice. And the last one was just the redesign of some of the soffit work for access panels for the HVAC unit, and to finish the soffit area with a nice clean line around the windows, as opposed to leaving it up exposed to the HVAC system.
Okay. All right, and then again, number 6, what was that change order?
Yep. So there's again 3 parts to that. One included installation of lights, surface mounted lights. The soffit or the recessed lights were not appropriate for the changing room. They just didn't seem to fit in there. One was to replace one of the fuses for additional power, these big fuse panels. And then the other one is beefier gas shutoff valves. I think I included that in the video last week. That was something that would be a change order for the board. You can see that those are all wired and ready to be set up, but it was a safety issue to make sure we had the appropriate gas shutoff valves, and that includes the electrical work associated.
And those shut-off valves are at each table, or is that a central?
No, it's a centralized spot, so the teacher can hit one spot, shut off all the gas to the classroom.
Okay, and then, of course, the last item, number 7, if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah, it's rock removal. So we've been dealing with rocks everywhere, and if you've been to O'Neill recently, you've noticed that the rock pile is finally shrinking, as opposed to staying a very large rock pile. So what we were able to do is say to Whispering Pines, and they were amenable to it, look, just give us a price. Stop giving us tickets, and change allowances and change orders. Just tell us, what is it going to cost to get rid of all the rock? They gave us a price. Scott and Joe went back and forth with Whispering Pines, and we finally came to an agreement. So we will not have any other change order associated with rock removal. And now you should see a lot more movement in that, because we're getting ready. Those rock piles are dropping like flies now.
Okay, the corner of the field that the rock had to be chipped away, has that been, that was part of the deal too?
All the rock removal that is going to be done is in that price. Anything that they have to do. So if they have to knock that one piece off the ledge that they were concerned about, that's included in the price.
Okay, and then lastly, Denise, this is for you. Where do we stand now with the reserves? This is about 300,000 change orders. Are we down to about 700,000 from the million?
No, most of these were included already in Scott's estimate.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
All right.
And I will.
So we still have that buffer of $1 million so far, roughly?
Correct.
Yeah, and I will also let the board know that one of the change orders that the board approved was for the abatement of the auditorium, and we're going to actually pull that one back, because when we authorized the work to be done, the firm that was going to do it said, hey, wait a minute, we put that in as first shift, and now you are asking us to do this on second shift. Of course we're asking you to do it on second shift, because we got kids coming back. And they said, no, they couldn't do it for that price. So I said, that's fine. We'll just roll it into the second part of the project when we go out again.
That's it for me. Thank you.
So that
I
actually
appreciate
increases
that
that reserve.
I appreciate that, because that's ridiculous that they would try to charge us that. So thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions on 2 through 8? Okay, I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Yes.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. And then we have the letter from Sean Patrick Maloney refunding for COVID relief. I know we all had received that. That's correspondence. Any questions on that? Okay.
I think Ned,
Oh, Ned, go ahead.
is he speaking?
I'm flipping back and forth between board docs. So go ahead, Ned.
Ned, are you muted?
Ned's muted.
Ned, can you click the microphone at the bottom of the screen? It's like in a circle. Can you unmute him, Andrea, or no? No, okay. So Ned, it's at the bottom of your screen. If you bring up that white bar just by touching the bottom of your screen, you should have a microphone there that you can, that's in red, that you can make white by clicking on it. Do you see it? No? It's Regina, if you just touch the bottom of the screen, a white bar should come up.
Got it. Thank
There you
you.
go. Good, thank you.
Thank
Okay,
you.
go ahead, Ned.
I said that Congressman Maloney's letter, from my reading, failed to address specifics that Frank had asked. It was just a general with regard to the legislation that had been passed.
That's the same.
And with-
I mean, I'm going to say it. That's the same response. Very similar, vague response we got from all the other elected officials that we've had the opportunity or one of their offices to speak to. And there've been a number of them. Very vague, no specifics. Wait till after the election. Hopefully there's going to be a plan that comes out right after that gives money. Can you ensure they're going to give it out based on per capita? We'll let them know. There's been very, very vague responses. Very vague from everyone. I usually felt a lot better after I talked to them for other situations, and nothing has changed this time. Nothing at all. You can understand how frustrating it is to be on these phone calls because we're not getting any responses. I did get a response on one of the phone calls that told me I'm just like every other school district. I explained very somewhat respectfully that that's not necessarily true. Every other school district didn't get $155,000 for $500 to $1 million worth of items that we had to buy. But they're not budging, Ned. They're not budging right now.
I understand.
I don't think they can. I mean, Frank, do you agree from what you've heard from them?
Yeah, you've heard the same things as I've heard. You've been on every one of the calls with me. So,
Mhm.
Yep, the cavalry is not on its way yet.
No. But we're not giving up. Okay. Anything else, or can I go on? Okay. Be it resolved that the Board of Education recesses into executive session for the purpose of discussion of the employment history of a particular individual and matters made exempt under federal law FERPA. The board will not, I don't believe, right? Return to open session to take action, or am I incorrect?
You are correct. The board will not.
The board will not return to open session to take action. May I please get a motion?
Motion. So moved. Second.
All approved? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Thank you, everyone, for joining on the call. Everyone stay well and stay safe. And thank you for all your hard work. And thank you to the community, too. Thank you.
Have a good night.
You too.